Hello again, Armaholics. Welcome back to Liberate Sahrani. We ended episode 7 with the city of Corazol more or less within our grasp. However, before we could make our push, we had to clear out yet another farmstead and a couple of locations on our western flank. Bunny Hop's farm was first on the list, and just like the silly naming, I named a rather silly landing zone, which may or may not have been too close to our objective. So the Russians straight off the bat took one of my two choppers straight out of the game. I did check on the crash site, but unfortunately no survivors, but aesthetically it did look quite pleasing on the eye, although obviously a rip to that squad. I then went on to regroup my own unit. Even being a squad down, I really didn't want to waste the cover of darkness, and besides, we didn't get dressed up for nothing. So we did approach the farm half-cocked and all. The farm was placed very close to other objectives, so speed and aggression would be key. Seizing the objective before the whole AO came rushing in was the name of the game here. To my surprise, the assault went beautifully. Our approach lined up with the fence line and allowed for excellent fields of fire across the farm. I even scored some really nice satisfying kills of my own outside the single-storey farmhouse. Here's how it went down.
Medic, 75 meters, front.
The following day it was decided the coastal village of Everon was due for some liberation. A shaky start for this one. After an initial cast run, I died quite a few times, and the real star of the show here was Alpha 1-3. It was an AI squad whose compound assault just made me sit back and smile. There was also an enemy squad hunkered down in the southern edge of the town, and they made for some comical viewing. They baited me into committing a war crime. You'll know what I mean when you see it.
All that.
Copy!
Machine gunner, 75 meters, front. Rifleman, 75 meters, front. Rifleman.
Man down!
Push time 2-2. Over. Report position.
Reaper 2-2, currently 63 Bravo at 190. Never moving at all in the left.
3 to engage.
You know, if he's when it's pulling off the left, he's going to wing back and it's not. It's a simple.
Right up ahead.
Target's down!
Free to engage.
Contact, soldier.
Yeah, I was fuming. Literally, they cut my guy in half and then they surrender? The bloody cheek of it. And how the hell did my short burst kill all three of them? It was like one of them scenes from Hot Shots, you know, taking a pop at Rambo and Commando, firing 1 or 2 bullets and then literally 10 people dying. It was hilarious. I did continue preparations for the city assault by taking down a couple of very small objectives. Guys, these were uneventful and literally I have no footage of them. They were that boring. And there was an FOB hunt which weirdly went to plan. When do FOB hunts go to plan in Liberation? Normally they spawn in the middle of like 5 objectives, but it was crap. So yeah, I skipped that. FOB Charlie also came to fruition in this period. It's constructed atop a mountain. It offered excellent sightlines, defensibility, and was close enough to provide indirect fire support for our forthcoming assault. However, before the assault, we did have one final hurdle to overcome, and that was the village of Modesta. I assembled a new force. It consisted of 2 infantry squads, an Abrams and an MRAP. My squad and supporting AI squad formed up on the reverse slope just north of town. Meanwhile, my ArmA was positioned safely to the northwest, poised to rip up the western approach when called upon. Phillips, my AI anti-tank specialist, is ordered to open proceedings and does so by knocking out the T-90 stationed in the village.
We've got an enemy. Machine gunners, half a click, southwest.
The Russians respond in turn, and very quickly I might add, by returning semi-accurate fire.
Ready to fire.
3, 4, 5, 6. Open fire. Fall back.
400 meters, south. Danger. Machine gunner, half a click, southwest.
MRAP, 400 meters, southwest.
Fire! Fucking cease fire! Do not fire!
After a brief firefight, I pushed the squads down the slope towards an abandoned structure. Simultaneously, our ArmA approaches from the west, and luckily so. Unbeknown to me at the time, a Russian MRAP had flanked our position and was actually cresting the hill we had just vacated. I only noticed this when I started capturing from the spectator cam, as you can see here.
MRAP, 300 meters, northeast. Target down.
I waited for the other squad to regroup on the village outskirts to support our Abrams. Again, luckily it was perfectly timed. An enemy squad had appeared on the ridgeline to our south-southeast, basically on the flank of our whole approach.
Soldier, 600 meters, south.
I pushed our forces on, and during the firefights I even managed to grab myself a Rusky mid-reload. Unfortunately, my victory was actually short-lived and I was struck down by the spirit world, it seems. I mean, good old ArmA quirks. The rest of the assault is played through the spectator cam. Nearly forgot, after seizing Modesta, I pulled most forces back to our main FOB a couple of K north. Whilst doing so, a Russian gunship got really cocky and started going after my lone Abrams on its way back to the base. Needless to say, the Abrams was more, how do I put it, cocksure. Well, it does have a bigger barrel after all. Right, on to the main event as it were. The city of Corazol is split into 3 parts: west, east and the eastern farm. The farm, while sounding quite worthless, was actually the most important bit of terrain. If seized, it granted sightlines into the eastern part of the city, and regardless, it would have broke up the main attack like a breakwater if not dealt with. Our newly assembled force was travelling in convoy under the cover of darkness. 2 Abrams, a Bradley, 2 infantry squads and its supporting transport. We would dismount as close as feasibly possible whilst remaining hidden. I then directed both infantry squads and the Bradley to cut east and approach the farm from the north. The approach of these units would be made together with absolutely no leapfrogging. The infantry is set to a slow-paced area assault, and I kept the Bradley moving up every so often. And it wasn't long before the Ruskies heard the slow rumble of the Bradley and the footsteps of the approaching infantrymen.
Weapons free.
Ready to fire.
Soldier, 200 meters. Front.
Right up ahead.
Under fire.
Car, 300 meters. Stop.
Machine gunner, 100 meters. Front.
Machine gunner, 100 meters.
Hostile down. Hostile down.
100 meters. Target down.
He's down.
Neutralized. Right. 100 meters. Front.
Okay, let's go.
Just up ahead.
Sniper, 75 meters. Front.
Sniper, front.
and after a fast and furious firefight, the farm fell in quite short order, and with the guys becoming embroiled in smaller contacts below us in the city, I took the decision to keep pushing.
Return to formation.
Welcome.
I need a medic. Unknown contact. 1.5 clicks. West.
4. Patch yourself up.
Copy.
The battle lasted throughout the night into dawn. Plenty of surrendering enemies, but action actually seemed pretty light to me. The AI wasn't consolidated and it was well spread out throughout the sector. It made for some slow progress with the snipers and all that, but at the same time I reached each little fight and it was all over, or I'd get sniped out of nowhere. It was just one of those days, I suppose. I just couldn't capture much action. Here's a few bits I did manage to catch.
600 meters. 80 soldier, half a click southwest. 80 soldier, half a click, bearing 240. There's an enemy. 400 meters southwest. Requesting immediate fire support at designated coordinates. Over.
Target location received. Flag. Out.
We've got an enemy. 80 soldier, half a click southwest.
Hostile down.
Things, however, did get a little bit more interesting when we pushed for the west side. The bottlenecks made for some really interesting firefights, with rounds flying up and down a long city street, and I was turned into giblets on more than one occasion, as were my fellow soldiers. reached a kind of stalemate. My infantry depleted and my armour unable to advance. I called it off and opted to regroup and reorganise back at base. I went back in with a very similar force makeup. However, this time our convoy was struck by an IED. Obviously this, as always, happened when I was trying to get a few nice shots. A short engagement followed, medical care given, and we were off to the races again.
Standing by! Waiting!
On the southernmost approach, we arrived to find our Bradley and friendly troops penned down. Numerous units faced us further down the road going into West Corazol, and we had adversaries across the bay as well. It produced a kind of deadly crossfire and some collateral damage, as you'll witness.
Move left.
Ready.
APC, 800 meters.
APC, 700 meters. South.
We lost one.
Everon. APC, 400 meters. Southwest.
I need ammo.
One.
I inevitably die, and I redeploy to find Russian infantry mixed up on the backside of the Bradley. I think these must have came from a BTR or a BMP that was traversing the bay's waters. Have a ganders.
200 meters, right up ahead.
I'm covering. Go.
soldier! 400 meters south. 4. Over.
Inbound. 300 meters west. Man down. Contact.
With things getting a bit drawn out, I really needed to change the channel. Perhaps it was time for some balls to the walls programming. To that effect, I ordered the Bradley, Abrams and any remaining infantry just to push down this precarious avenue.
Free to engage. Engage at will.
Standing by. Ready.
Return to formation.
Copy.
Reloading. We got a man down. Two. Report in. Over. 4. Sit rep. Man down. Fuck. Man down.
Rifleman. 200 meters. Right flank. Sniper. 100 meters. Right. Contact. Right. Injured. Got a man down. We got a man down. Fuck, man down. Cover me. Machine gunner. 25 meters. Standing by. On the move.
Oh, and here's a nifty effect. I didn't know Project Injury's panic state actually applied to players as well. My weapon is shot from my hands and I had no idea what was going on. Really didn't. Fun times.
I'm out.
He's hit.
Awaiting orders.
During this whole engagement, my forces were really made to pay for every street, as the title suggests, blood, sweat and giblets. To be fair, there were quite a few tears as well, but mostly from all the times I was downed or died.
Covering, go! Car, 400 meters, due east. Enemy spotted. APC, 1 west.
Looking at the state of play now, guys, I think the capture of the city of Corazol and its accompanying airport should be our next main priority. So this kind of lines up my next question for you guys, actually. Do you think the capture of said city and airport should mark a natural, realistic end of this series, as Russia would find it difficult to redeploy forces there and deliver supplies, etc.? Or should the fight go on to the bitter end? Let me know in the comments below, and if you've enjoyed this video, let me know by clicking that like button. And if you haven't, let me know why. Engage in the comments below, you know, get interacting, people. Anyway, this has been Liberate Sahrani, episode 8. I hope you've enjoyed, and as always, I'll see you over in the next one. Bye.